that might be something like the always already, but an always already that of course is not consciously there for the subject and is only available retroactively for the convert, right, to see that that dream meant what it did. And that, I mean, that's not unlike the always already, say, of the transgender account, right, where, you know, I was 3, this is from Jenny Boylan's She's Not There, right, so a popular trans account from within the last decade. She said, when I was 3, I was watching my mother ironing shirts and my father's shirts, and she said to me, you're gonna wear shirts like this someday. And I thought, why would I wear shirts like that? And I knew then that I wasn't a girl. And you know, you think, 3-year-old, really? Is that what her experience was? Well, maybe, I mean, that's how it's being presented by the autobiographer, but you can see how that kind of clear understanding of the experience, right? And Boylan doesn't cover this over. That clear understanding of the experience is only available in a kind of retroactive way. So I do think that there are ways in which the two sets of texts, and this part of what I'm trying to work out is whether and how to have the project be just about the text written by converts, or if it's how it's gonna complicate and enrich the project to have it be both about texts written by converts and texts presumably written by, you know, pretty ordinary Christian writers that include the representation of conversion. And, you know, the danger in bringing them together is just to say, aha, I have this model of temporality that I can bring and make work with this, and, you know, therefore it shows something hegemonic in medieval culture. I'm tempted by that. I've done that before. But I'm also wary of and concerned with thinking about precisely what you're asking. I haven't worked out, you know, other ways of, or I haven't worked out exactly how those two bodies of text might differ from each other around these questions. Yeah.
Another question from this millennium, looking back at your work. I don't know if this is part of the conversation in the book you're doing now or in the one you did before, but to think about Paul in terms of contemporary literary theory, another figure is Alain Badiou. And I'm wondering if that's of use to you at all. It seems to me that if we're thinking of the evangelical apocalyptic vision, that's more where Badiou is, the idea that Paul's conversion is a revolutionary event. The clocks stop and time starts over again, which is working in a very different direction from the Benjamin Agamben, which I find very satisfying in the way that you're deploying it in your project right now. Any commentary about the usefulness of
there's a little reference in one of my taken out sections here to the Badiou, but I haven't worked out exactly how. I mean, the Agamben speaks particularly strongly to me, obviously, because it allowed me to kind of have a conceptual framework that was more satisfying than what I was working with before. I don't know whether I'm going to stick with it or stick with it altogether. I think there's a bunch of work on Paul that is really interesting in the Badiou. I have to say, when I read it, it infuriated me. I'm not sure exactly why. I guess it's the idea of the universal and the, you know, it's as a kind of institution of universalism, and Badiou is kind of approving of that when I've spent much of my career fighting against universalizing formulations. So the experience of reading it didn't make me want to use it, but I have to admit that I've returned to trying to think it through in a variety of ways, and I think it is actually, I think your way of connecting it to what I said, what I presented today, is nice. I do think too that, you know, whether we believe in the universalism or not, that that way of thinking of what Paul's up to as a radical rethinking or a radical redoing of the world, might be useful for what these texts about conversion are up to as well. I also think that the Taubes book on Paul's political theology is really interesting, despite its kind of unfinished and rough qualities, and the work that has made Paul more Jewish, right? Which is partly where Agamben's pushing in connecting Benjamin back to Paul, right? The work that's insisted on a kind of intra-Jewish project that Paul is still involved in interests me as well, but how that then gets inflected by the Middle Ages with its various ways of denying the Jewish element in Christianity, at least at some points in the medieval history. It's not always the case. That gets complicated as well. There's a whole. I mean, obviously there are many books to be written about Paul, and I don't know how much I want to go there, despite my wanting to use the formulations about Paul to work through the medieval stuff.
All right, thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you all.
Professor Aciman would like to say a few words. Probably didn't like to, but will.
It was getting hot in this room, so.
Yes.
Well, just thank you, Steve, again. Really, thank you for helping us close this thing in a way that makes us happy and satisfied. This event is at an end, and part of us are relieved. I'm sure the people who worked on this, should be relieved because they did a fantastic job. Where are you? There's only 1, 2, 3, and where's the 4th? There's the 4th. Okay. I really am extremely grateful to your work, and I would ask you to do it again next year. But I don't think you'll volunteer. But you're more than welcome to. Really, this has been, as I said this morning, one of the things that made me happiest was walking into one of those rooms and being forced to sit on the floor because everyone had already taken up a seat. And it was wonderful. I mean, that's exactly what we want to see. These things are challenging to put together, both through personal effort, a lot of work, but also financially. They're difficult. We cobbled together the money as best we could, and I think everybody is happy this way. The sandwiches are waiting, and so please take advantage of that. One last word. As I said yesterday, we try to have 2 of these events, not just 1, not because we're pigs, but because it reflects what we are about. We do literature and we do theory, and though this event was predominantly theoretical in nature, that's fine. The one that is to follow this spring, I forget what date we have. Do we have a date? Late April, is going to be devoted to the work of Roland Barthes, particularly the latter phases of his work, the stuff that he hasn't published. So this is going to be amazingly, it's an innovation really, because nobody has done that yet. And so we're very proud that the Graduate Center is behind this event. And I urge you all to come and to tell your friends. That's the best publicity is word of mouth. We do this twice a year. For those of you who are here for the first time, please come again and again and again. Thank you all.
I believe Professor Calabritto,
Yeah,
the Italian
I will be
Specialization,
even
wants to say
shorter because
also.
I think that everybody is extremely tired, and our minds are filled with ideas from the keynote speakers and the sessions that we followed. Following what André said, I'm extremely happy that this year, for the first time, the Italian Specialization was able to contribute. 2 of the organizers of the conference are from the Italian Specialization. They showed that the Italian Specialization is firmly integrated in the Comparative Literature Department.